Hello, everyone. I hope you have all started out with an amazing Saturday. Um, I am coming to you from Charleston. We have traveled to Charleston to visit family for the weekend, and so I am doing my final video in this series here in a family member's house. So I know I have a couple of people that will probably be joining us today because this is probably one of the more controversial homeschooling methods that is used today. Before we get started on that, though, I am once again going to remind you all to please share my page with friends, anyone that is considering homeschooling. I am preparing to put out a lesson on how to get started homeschooling. It would apply to anyone in any state. I want to show people how to find their state requirements for homeschooling and how to actually get started, what needs to be done prior to beginning. And then I'm also going to be putting out a class on planning your year. And as I've said before, some upcoming series, fantastic for the newer homeschoolers, would be Confused to Confident. I'm going to be sharing with you some of the top techniques that I used as a teacher and that many teachers used. And my other series, Try It Today, and it will be lessons and activities, things that you can implement in your homeschool setting without purchasing anything. So share my page, share these videos so that I can reach as many new families as possible, because I see people asking these questions on Facebook. I know that people are interested. I just need to be able to kind of get my content out there to them. Okay, today let's dive into unschooling. Unschooling is definitely one of those controversial topics that you hear about with as far as homeschooling goes. It is gaining more popularity. I have quite a few friends who unschool. So, what is unschooling? It is probably not what you think, and it's not necessarily what it sounds like. It is a free form of learning, student focused, similar in that aspect to Montessori, where the child is going to guide their learning. And again, similar to Montessori, it's very activity based, experimental. Um, Children are learning as they move through life, doing real things. So, in this aspect, you see that it really mirrors the Montessori method in many ways. Now, how is it different? There is definitely less structure given to the child if you would like to employ the unschooling method. Um, your materials and manipulatives are going to be real life items, not blocks or wooden things. You may have that in your home, and of course, if they choose to engage with those materials, you will allow that. But you're going to be outside a lot. You're going to be, I know a lot of people that live on a farm choose this method because there is so much learning that happens in the day to day schedule and day to day experiences that need to happen on a farm. And then one thing that is a big misconception, there are many unschoolers who use formal lessons for some of these basic skills, reading, math, and writing. Do all unschoolers do that? Absolutely not. I know some who simply read to their child and the child learns to read from that. And I know others who utilize computer programs and formal structured curriculum to teach phonics. The key with unschooling is you are Setting out on your path of education, trusting that your child will find the path that works best for them, and they're learning as they move down that path. I cannot give you an example of a schedule for unschoolers because it is so very different for every family. If your child is guiding that, it's going to look however your child kind of wants it to look. There might be some days that they wake up and, you know, they do not feel like doing many focused or structured activities that day. And I'm feeling you on that one because we all have those days. And so in in an unschooling setting, that would be okay. And they may wake up some days and want to be outside all day, exploring in the mud and playing with something that they've been working on. Many homeschoolers that I know are involved in child-centered or child-led co-ops. So I was involved in a co-op when I lived here in Charleston, outdoor homeschoolers, and it was child-led, and there were I knew quite a few families that were unschoolers in that group, and it was a fantastic co-op. I loved it. I felt that the children gleaned so much from that true freedom to learn and explore. And as parents, we acted as guides in their interests, as facilitators in their interest rather than a guide as to what they should be doing. So, some definite pluses for this method. It is very adaptable, obviously. Your daily schedule is adaptable. Your yearly schedule is adaptable. You may not even have a true school year because you're really pushing that life is learning and learning is life. Um, and it is very child centered. Obviously, you have a loose structure. Your child is determining what they want to do and when they want to do it. So that could be a big plus for some people. It could be a big minus for other people. I am a more structured person. I feel that I do my best when there is structure in our home. So that lack of structure would actually be a consideration for me if I were looking into that. A huge benefit is the experiences that you provide your children when you are unschooling and that holistic learning. As a family, if you have a large number of children, this can really be an easy method to employ because you aren't determining a set routine for anything that's happening. You're really learning by living. So, some of the things you might want to consider if you're thinking about unschooling. Um, Obviously, if it is child led, there will be some knowledge gaps. They are not going to show interest in all areas of every subject. So, you have to be okay with that. And there is definitely a social stigma that goes solely with this term, unschooling. I don't know why. I think there are a lot of misconceptions that surround it. I think people believe that if you are an unschooler, you don't do anything. You're not educating your child. But really, the adventures and the experiences that the unschooling families that I know offer to their kids are par to none. They're fantastic. So, coming from a public school teacher background, I would say my biggest issue with unschooling is, and I kind of had the same concern with Montessori. As a teacher, I learned and studied the way that a child's brain develops, and there are definitely ideal times to present information. Younger children learn things faster, they memorize things faster. It's why we have seen that if foreign languages are introduced very young, a child is more likely to become fluent in that language because they have these open synapses in their brain. So, my biggest concern is if my child has no interest in reading and I am not pushing that material from the age that I know the synapses are open and ready, I would be concerned that I may miss kind of an ideal time. Now, the disagreement with that would be that every child is going to is going to be prepared to learn reading at a different time, which is very true. And so those families who choose to pursue more of these child-led curriculums have the belief that when a child is prepared and their brain is ready to learn reading, they will naturally become interested in that. I don't feel I have enough experience to say if that's true or not. I totally respect people who believe that. I have seen that to be true in particular cases, um, but it's not how I have chosen to direct the schooling in my home with the children that I'm working with currently. So, um, again, how do you know if unschooling is for you? You might have kind of a cynicism towards that traditional schooling. You want your child to see life as learning, and you want them to learn from the current life that they're living and not necessarily determine what path you want them to head down for learning. You are looking for a method that's very child focused. You're looking for a real loose method, a lack of structure. Your child is a great self learner, and you trust that they will guide themselves in learning important things when they're ready to. Now, I want to touch a bit onto the eclectic method. I did not include these in the same session because they are similar, because they are not similar at all. I have included them solely because I wanted to do this in 6 sessions, so I did not do a session tomorrow morning. And because eclectic, again, I can't give you a schedule, I can't give you a curriculum that you're following. It's truly a belief that no one method is perfect. There's pluses for everything, there's minuses for everything. No one method is perfect, no one curriculum is perfect. And as a family, I'm choosing to pick and pull the best of every method. This may look like you utilizing different methods on different days, utilizing different methods for different subjects. So I might feel that I want my child to be exposed to the greats in literature, so I'm pulling from that classical and Charlotte Mason style, but I definitely am more of an unschooler with an unschooler or Montessori with the science and social studies. Um, and so you're picking and pulling from all of the things you've learned. The benefit of this method is you have access to every resource. If you are not following one methodology, you really have an unlimited number of resources, lesson plans, curriculums that you can be looking at. That's a great thing. It could be a negative because it can be very overwhelming. You can have so many options that you can't narrow that down. And if that's happening to you, I highly recommend you to review these methodologies and what hits with you the most as far as your philosophy with education and children and learning. Which one do you feel just makes sense to you? And then start there. You may pull in methods from other homeschooling philosophies, and that's okay. But if you are at a total loss as far as curriculum, I highly recommend you kind of take some time to determine what you want your home to look like and then start researching the method that most closely mirrors that and find ways around the negatives of that you see. If you want to use an eclectic method, my biggest recommendation is that you are knowledgeable in all of your choices, in all of the methods. You don't want to attempt to employ a Montessori method without having knowledge of that. You don't want to attempt to employ a classical method without knowing what that entails or what their premise about education is. So if you feel that you want to mix and match all of these methods, fantastic. Go for it. Um, but do not become overwhelmed with the choices that you will have, and make sure that you take a step back occasionally and determine, are you kind of getting lost in the weeds? Get you, even as an eclectic homeschooler, I want to figure out what is my ideal feel for my home. What do I want my children to be focused on as far as learning? Do I want them to learn the structure and the discipline? Do I want them to have freedom and guide themselves before you start delving into individual curriculums? Because it can be very overwhelming. I want to thank all of you for joining me for these 6 sessions. Um, I truly appreciate the time that you are taking to educate yourself before you start to educate your children. I think it's very important. I'm reading and researching constantly, even though I have an education background, because um, it is a big decision to choose to educate your child or to facilitate the education of your child. And it's really important that you give yourself the time that you need to feel confident in doing that. I want you to walk into your school year knowing that you're making the right choice and knowing that you can do this. And I hope to be here to help you on that journey. Once again, please share this with your friends. Anybody that's interested in homeschooling, I am hoping to kind of continue to get this out here all summer so that we have a lot of new families in the fall that are confident to move into this new path of their life. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you all later. I will again have a link in the comments. If you're interested in getting a quick fact sheet on all of the methods, an overview, might I say, please click on that link and put your email address in so I can email that to you. And I will see you all next time. Bye.